See you, Randy. Comfy?
No, I'm not comfy.
You want to switch chairs?
No.
No, that's too much work.
That's too much work. And we're already here.
That's true. We are already here. Hire me to speak in a microphone.
I don't think you're gonna pick any of that up, but that would have been funny.
I'm pretty sure I did.
You think so?
Because it was right next. Was it?
It was like here.
Oh, okay, maybe not then. We'll find out.
It'd have to be like.
You'd think.
We'll
You'd
see.
think. But I've picked up weirder stuff. I usually pick up completely shut off right there.
Oh my God.
I was at like I'm at like a solid 45% right now because I'm so tired. Because I didn't sleep and I stayed up playing video games. Because I haven't been able to do that, play video games in so long, and I was like, I want to play video games, and so I did. And now I'm paying for it with low energy. And we've got a double recording session tonight, so like...
I was so excited. I was so
Yeah?
excited. I took off of work today and I didn't get to rest because then other stuff happened. And so I just think it's so funny that I was like, okay, I don't ever give myself time to rest. And then I actually today did it. I was like, okay, send the message to my boss. I'm not going into work. Cool. I got back in bed. I laid down and then I got a text message like, hey, can we come do this thing? I was like, well, okay.
Sure, whatever. I didn't want to sleep anyway.
No, but I did take a 2-hour nap before coming here. And when I woke up, you're so lucky that I woke up because I probably wouldn't if you would not have been able to reach me if you tried to call me or any. I would not. I don't think if I hadn't woken up of my own fruition, I don't think I'd be sitting here.
You really think so? Were you that deep?
Yeah.
I slept in today because I also didn't go into work, but for different reasons. Sleep is really nice. But
What if you could pay someone in sleep?
I think some people do. They're like sleep experiments, right? Where people will sleep and record your like brain whatever's.
No, but I mean, like you could pay someone in sleep. Like you could be like, they work for however long, and you're like, here, you get 3 hours of sleep now, and then like you just knock out for 3 hours,
like right there, like
yeah.
All right, good job today, bud.
That should be a thing. Somebody should figure that out. I think that'd be a really good. Imagine how much work, because everybody would just work so they could go to sleep.
But then, like, isn't that what you already do? You work, and then you're like, sleep, yes, and then you sleep.
But like, it's a good sleep. Like, it's not like you get to. It's like you use money. Like, money's always there, so you can just like spend it. So it'd be sleep. So you'd like hit the button that you want to sleep, and you're knocked out. And then however long you set, you get like you can like do 4 hours, you can do up to like 9 hours.
Do a little power nap
of
right?
solid sleep, of like good solid sleep. I'd pay so much money for like 8 hours of good solid
You'd
sleep.
be working, it's not the money. The money wouldn't be it would be the sleep that is the currency.
Yeah.
But if you like paid people in sleep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, and then like I'll give you 4 hours of sleep if you give me this deluxe TV whatever thing. And he's like, great. And then you pass off your sleep. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. But I brought up the topic of sleep because I had like really weirdly vivid dreams last night of me. We have this dude that comes by our house and like bangs on our door and just harasses us for no good reason. And I had a dream that he somehow, while we were gone, snuck into the house just to like destroy the lock from the inside, and so he could later sneak in the front door for some reason. I was like, it's very elaborate, but kudos to you for pulling it off. And I just remember like in the dream I came back from wherever I was and I was like, oh dang, they messed with our lock. And then I was like, well, that's no good. And then we all just left. And then I was like, great,
well,
time to go.
Yeah.
Goodbye, guys.
Hey, our locks look a little bit like somebody's messing with them. Well, I'm just going to go.
I mean, something will happen. It'll sort itself out. But bye. Then we all just left. And then that was one dream. Then I had another dream. I went back to my high school to play in my symphonic band for a concert. But people had sabotaged it so that I would look bad by like showing up late, and then my instrument was not where it was supposed to be, and then I was just fumbling around, and then I finally sit down, and then we play the main theme from Howl's Moving Castle, which is weird. A lot of people, do you hear music in your dreams? Can you?
I don't dream.
Oh yeah, I forget. You just have nightmares because you're like a weird person who...
Because I have so much trauma that the only thing my brain shows me when I'm supposed to be at peace is nightmares.
It's like, oh man, that'd be real nice if I could just get a solid night's
That's what
rest.
I'm talking about. This is why we should be paid in sleep. If I would pay somebody to give me a nice 8 hours of sleep. Anyways.
But I hear music in my dream all the time. So a lot of people tell me that they don't hear music, but like I can hear tunes that I've heard before, like the Howl's Moving Castle theme. Or sometimes I remember dreams where like my brain has come up with its own music. And it's like symphonic music too. It's not just like, and it's weirdly complex music, but I can hear it.
Yeah, I really wanted to talk about a dream that I had recently, but I can't remember any. And I remember maybe a week ago, I had one. I was like, oh yeah, remember this. Next time somebody asks you, because for some reason people like random conversations, other people that I talked to have been asking about or talking about dreams. And I don't have one that I've had recently. So I had a dream and I was like, remember this one so you can tell people when they ask you. I don't remember it. But as for the music thing, I can't think of a time when I've ever heard music in my dream, but I know every day I wake up singing a song.
So maybe.
This morning I woke up singing Ain't No Rest for the Wicked.
It's a fun song.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it in so long. Cage the Elephant was like pure 2005 energy.
Yeah.
Like,
but I hadn't listened to that song in months. In like 6 months was the last time I listened to it. And so for me to wake up singing, I was like, this is weird, but I am ready to go.
All right, raring to go. And then you're like, boss, I'm not going into work today because my brain is singing Cage the Elephant, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked nonstop.
That is it. The first hour of consciousness is me just singing whatever song I woke up like in my head. A lot of the time it's Bo Burnham. It'll either be shit or 30. That's what it is a majority of the time. Sometimes
that's all you listen to.
Not anymore. That's all I listened to during last summer. But not. So why is it happening? Is it such a delay?
I don't know. Brains are weird like that.
Yeah.
I have lots of I don't listen to very much classical music, but the stuff that I do listen to ends up stuck in my brain somehow, and then that's the stuff that I remember. And it's not even necessarily like classical music. I listen to a lot of soundtracks from like video games and movies and stuff like that. Yeah. What's wrong with you gave me the dumb face.
No, I didn't. I was laughing at something I'd seen on Instagram. Did you see that there's it probably came on TikTok first. I watch TikToks on Instagram because I don't get on TikTok anymore. But this guy had a comedy special and he was talking about how much it sucks to like get a classical piece stuck in your head because you can't look it up because there's no lyrics. And so you're like singing into Siri like da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, and you're trying to find the song.
That's so true though. Like you can't. There have been so many times when I've had them stuck in my head, and if you don't know the name of the song, you're
just out of luck.
That's it.
You're shit out of luck.
There's nothing you can do about it. Oh, it's the worst. Did you see? I sent you a text. Totally unrelated, actually. I sent you a text earlier today of the screenshot I had posted to YouTube Shorts, which are the same as our TikToks, just a different way to reach people. I posted 2 of our YouTube Shorts within 5 minutes of each other. One of them has like 500 views. One of them has like 4. And the one that has 500 views has gay in the name. And so it's like, that tracks.
That's nice.
That tracks.
That's nice.
It's all about the words that you use and those like trigger words, right? Like gay is a trigger word that'll push it to forward. There's another one, powerbombing Tom Holland, which that one has about around the same views.
Well, yeah, because it's powerbombing Tom Holland.
It's such a good.
Everyone wants to know the context of that. That's what you got to do. I mean, we have like some like educational ones, or when we're more serious, and those don't get obviously as many views as Gayborhood.
So good. If you don't know, it's from our guest episode with Joshua A. Murray. It's hilarious. Go listen to it. But we talk about the Gayborhood, and it's probably my favorite thing that I've said, like joke-wise.
It's a good bit.
It's my favorite bit from the most recent episodes. It's so funny. But yeah, that's what are we talking about? Wait, shit! I always do it in the wrong order now.
Oh my god!
I got this.
Is there an SD card in there?
Yeah, there's 2, unless
one.
you took them out.
No, there's
it says
one.
it's saving into 1.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you understand it.
I
I don't want to lose the footage again.
I didn't. I mean, I put 2 in there and I formatted them beforehand. So
Okay. I gave you a chance to do it right. I gave you to we can cut out your other mishap, and then you could have just gone into it. No, you had to acknowledge the fact that you messed up.
no, I actually forgot what the intro is.
This is Media for the Intellectually, or no, yeah, that's it, isn't it? I'm Taylor. I'm Randy,
Oh,
and this is
there
the
it is.
podcast that enriches your
forgot how
mediocre lives.
I forgot how I started it.
Oh my god!
I told you guys I'm not running at 100%. Okay.
These are gonna be whack shit episodes.
Oh, they're gonna be so great though. I'm Taylor.
You still haven't done it. This is Media for the.
Oh shit! You say that first. This isn't a bit.
This is Media for the Intellectually Impoverished. I'm Randy.
I'm Taylor.
And this is the podcast that
enriches your mediocre life.
There we go.
That wasn't a bit. That's not. I wish you to wholeheartedly. I wish I was not.
So red.
I wish I was not that stupid. This is not a bit. I genuinely forgot what the intro was. Oh, we've been doing this for a year and a half.
We've done this for over a year. We literally haven't had a break. We recorded last week. And we have 2 of these to do.
I mean, I got a second chance. I can do it better in the next one.
You still couldn't.
What are we talking about today, Randy?
I'm talking about mysteries.
Oh, man, it's real mysterious how I forgot that.
Look, I didn't want to be the one to carry this episode, but I can tell now that I'm going to be the one that has to carry this episode, and I'm not ready for it. Oh my god. What did you have a specific media or something related to mystery, or did you just want to talk about the genre as a whole?
I actually watched something today that I was like, this looks like mystery.
Okay.
And I watched it and it sucked. And so I don't think we should talk about that.
You don't think we can do
I'll talk about it. I mean, I watched Black Mirror's
okay.
Oh shoot.
I was like, if you think it's bad, we can quickly backpedal the shit out of this and we can do bad media, because I have a bad media off the top of my head.
It wasn't so bad that I'm like, oh, this is abhorrent.
Okay.
It was just not good. You know, there's a fine line between this is dog shit and this is dog water.
There's a fine line between the two of them.
Yeah, dog water is you're not good, but you're there, and it's no one's gonna be like, oh, I wish it'd be better if
you're
you
not
weren't
dog
here.
shit.
Right? Dog shit is I wish you, you step in dog shit, you're like, damn it, I wish that wasn't there. You step in dog water, you're like, well, it's there now, but without the water, the dog would be dead. So, so there's a fine line. I watched Black Mirror's, if you don't know what Black Mirror is for some reason, if you've been living under a rock.
Really?
It's an anthology series on Netflix that talks about technology and how technology is bad. I watched the season 3 final episode, which is Hated in the Nation, which is an episode about silence my phone. I heard it buzz a minute ago. It's an episode about fucking cancel culture and electronic bees. I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes.
What's the log line? Did you watch the whole episode first off?
I watched the whole thing, and I was like, I got 3/4 of the way through, and I was like, this isn't. I know where it's gonna end, and I'm not gonna enjoy it. But I finished it anyways.
And did it end how you thought it was?
Yes.
Okay.
The log line is, in a world filled with social media hate, and environmental destruction, there are robotic bees that are being linked to these killings.
Killer bees?
Yes, that are linked to the killings of these people that were canceled on social media. So, mystery is, how are the bees? Why are the bees killing people that are being canceled on social media?
How are the bees? Why are the bees? Where are the bees?
What are the bees? Why are the bees? It's not good. I mean, did that one get you?
My mind keeps going up. Dude, isn't there an SNL sketch or something about I can't get into it, but there's something there I don't know if it's SNL, but everybody's looking a group therapy session, and somebody's scared of questions, and so somebody asks a question and everybody screams. I'm sorry if you don't know what I'm talking about. All that's gonna go you're not gonna understand any of that, and I don't have the capacity to try and explain it better than that. So
it's one person is scared of one thing, then she's scared of questions, and then she screams, and then someone else is scared of screams, and they scream.
But I thought there has to be one where there's bees in it, because that's where like somebody's scared of the letter B or
The letter
something, and then
B.
somebody says bees, and they're like, where or something.
They scream.
I'm sorry. So the episode, I can't. That's gonna be the whole is me. Anyways,
it's just the acting is okay. It's not bad. I think that the story is it's just very Black Mirror, which is like, oh, society is bad because technology is bad, and technology is bad because society made it. Oh, and that's sort of
that's
just
every Black Mirror episode.
That's the thing, right? There are some that stick above the rest because they have interesting like twists to them, or interesting characters, or just like really well done stuff.
Mhm.
What'd you?
I just thought of something.
You thought of a thing?
I thought of a thing that I could talk about that could be my topic. That I did not choose my topic. Like I didn't choose as my topic, but now that and then it should be, because that fits better.
Yeah.
But
so the key thing with mysteries is keeping your audience away from the answer, right?
yes.
Because I mean, mysteries are typically crimes. They typically have something to do with crimes. They typically have something to do with
So-
like
We don't need to explain what like mystery is. I feel like everybody has like it's a question. You're trying to solve like what is going on, what is happening, who is the like you're talking about crime, who committed the crime, why did they commit the crime? So in that your answer has to be muddied in some way. Or they typically have like twists at the end.
yeah, or a red herring that you're
Mhm.
following. A red herring is I don't know if people don't know this, but it's like a fake lead to make you think that to make the audience think, oh, I figured it out. It's this thing, but then it's not that thing.
Mhm.
And those are really, really, if employed well, those can be extremely useful techniques in writing a mystery. But this one, it had no red herrings, right? Everything was just like there and then revealed quickly. They didn't leave anything up in the air for very long.
Okay.
In the beginning, there's the first murder, and you're like, whoa, how did this happen? But the scene before it, you saw a mechanical bee, and then they showed an open window in an insert shot, and you're like, oh, okay, the fucking bee flew through the window and killed her
Mm-hmm.
somehow. Like, you don't know how, and then it's like, oh, in the next scene, you find out another person's been murdered, and you're like, oh, it is a bee. And then they're like, oh, it's the bee that did it, and then now it's like, okay, well, it's the bee. How did the bee do it? And then they go to the bee manufacturer, and the bee manufacturer is like, well, no one can hack into our system. And then the cop's like, you're not saying no one can, are you? And the cop's like, are you sure about that? And then the scientist is like, well, now that you mention it. And then suddenly their system gets hacked, and they lose control of all the bees. And now all of the bees are after this person. And they're like, well, why are they doing this? And this whole time, everyone that's been dying is because of they're being canceled on social media. And you're like, oh, someone's got a vendetta against social media. And then it's just some weird dude that's an extremist that has no...
It's typically what it is.
But it's not even like connected. He's not connected to the story in any way. He's not portrayed in... He's just some dude that's an extremist. And then he's killing people with bees. And then that's it. And they don't catch him. And then they do catch him. Maybe. You never told. It's just dumb. And the twist ending is that like... spoilers, but it's not great, so... whatever.
So who cares? Yeah.
The twist at the end is that he's killing people that are because they need to fucking own up to what they said on the internet. But then he ends up logging everyone that canceled the people and used this certain hashtag to make them die. And then everybody that used that hashtag now is killed by the bees. And in a twist, because there's own up to your actions. You caused someone to die, so own up to it. But a lot of people probably didn't fucking know that's what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
They just get killed anyway. It's just dumb. It's not the fun. The most fun thing about it is that it's got that actor that plays Wong in Doctor Strange. It's Benedict Wong.
They're both named Benedict?
Yep, they're both named Benedict.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So Benedict Wong is in it, and he plays like a government dude, and he does a really good job, and he has a somewhat convincing British accent on top of his normal accent, which is interesting, kind of cool. So, but yeah, it's just not super interesting, and it wasn't super.
What could have made it better? So here's the thing: when it comes to mysteries, I'm obsessed with mysteries. I watch a lot of them, and so it was hard to pick something today that I could like, you know, when you're into something so deep that you just like forget all of like the most common like mystery like stories that you've or any like romance. Romance is a really hard one that we've tried to tackle many times. You just like, you know, they're out there, but it's like, what's like the best one, or what's like the easiest one to talk about?
What's
It's
like the golden apple.
And it's just, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But I love mysteries because I love twists. But see, this is something, and we're gonna have to try and pin it down. And excuse us while we try and figure this out. You'll come along on the journey with us.
Yes, the intellectual journey. But
because there are different ways to do a mystery. There are like, so you have your way of like a red herring. So you have this like this B plot that's going on, and you think, oh, that's what's happening. Some of the evidence points that way, and so the audience is able to think, that's it, I've solved it halfway through the movie. You have this twist piece of evidence that comes in, and then you're like, whoa, that gets completely thrown out. Now who could it possibly be, or what is it possibly? You have those, and then you have some that like have no red herring whatsoever. They purposefully just rely on not confusing the audience, but just leaving out like certain details.
Yeah, the ambiguity of like, it's not that they're giving you something extra to make you think. They're leaving out some of the evidence so that you don't know.
And so you have that where it's ambiguity. Pieces of like dialogue or props in the scene can be shown in one lighting, and then when seen at the end, when it's solved, are seen in a different lighting, or seen in a way that you didn't. And originally, the piece of dialogue wasn't intended to be seen that way or meant to be taken that way. And so when it comes to making, and see, it's different for everybody, because I really like it, or because maybe it's because I love mystery so much. I love it when it can get me, when it really, like, if it has to throw something out of left field that doesn't make sense, but I get the twist. I'm like, that was good, because you didn't have me half of that time. But some people don't like that, because then you're not given the whole information. You're like, well, there was no way that I was intended to solve that if you weren't giving me all of the information.
And that's the question. If you're writing a mystery, there's different facets. Like, do you want your audience to have the clues to solve it, like from the get-go, or do you want to reveal the clues along the story? And it's like, there's no like clear-cut answer that's like, this is the better way to do it. They're both valid ways to write a mystery. It just depends on your delivery of it, and how well you're able to conceal the true answer until the moment you want it to be revealed.
Exactly. And so that's why I'm asking you, what could have made that episode better in your opinion? Just I think it's hindering more on not like the pacing of it, but like just the idea of the episode itself was just kind of, it wasn't there.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it probably wasn't like the best mystery thing I could have chosen.
Okay.
I just searched along Black Mirror and I was like, oh, this one seems interesting and also a mystery, because a lot of those episodes are somewhat mystery-esque. But this was the one that I saw that was the most interesting to me. And I should not have picked it because it wasn't very good.
No, but I think it's good that you chose something bad, because then we can talk about what makes it
good. Yeah, what can you do better than that thing? I think for me, it was a lot of the pacing and the choices, because they didn't reveal anything in clue format. There was no clues that lasted more than 5 minutes before they were answered. And I think that was the biggest hindrance. And it could have been because, like, oh, they didn't want it to be a mystery story. But it also was a mystery, because in the end, it was like, we can't figure out who this guy is. Oh, we figured out who this guy is. And it's just like, it was too quick. Every time they gave me a clue, they answered the riddle within the next couple scenes, and there wasn't enough time for me to be like, ooh, I want to figure it out. I want to be the smart guy. And when they did give me a clue, it was that they didn't answer soon. It was too obvious to not be the answer. And so it was just poor pacing and poor choice making on that end.
It looks like integrating the clues into the story more, instead of it's hard when it comes to a lot of crime shows, because they're the detectives, and so it makes it easier for them to just spout off a lot of like exposition. Oh, like we found this, and that must mean that this happens, and and then kind of gives you the answer. I like it when what I was going to talk about is Sherlock.
Oh yeah, that's a great show.
But when you were talking, I realized, because you said twist, and then I thought, oh, Twilight Zone. That would have been a good, because that's like my shit. Is Twilight Zone. They don't have Sherlock on Netflix anymore.
They don't?
And it pisses
Really?
me off. It pisses me off.
Oh,
I had
it's
to
'cause
buy episodes.
Isn't it like BBC's having like a thing with American Netflix where like they're not showing certain shows in America anymore because they lost like
I have no
contract
clue.
stuff? It's weird.
I know when I was in
streaming
high
is
school,
weird.
they used to have Doctor Who on Netflix. That was
They
a
did.
long time
Mhm.
ago. And then as I was getting into Doctor Who, they took it off, and then I bought all the episodes. I still have all the episodes on iTunes.
on iTunes.
On iTunes. On like whatever the thing is on your what's the TV app or whatever, the
Yeah.
Apple TV. I have all of the Doctor Who episodes.
From what seasons?
all of them.
All like, are you talking like early Doctor Who, or are you talking like 9 through like 12 or 14?
How do I? It's not on iTunes. What is the? It's TV, isn't it?
I
Or
think
it's
Apple
movies?
TV is new. It should be Apple Movies, I think.
I was gonna because I've bought all. I wonder if I can just see it on iTunes. Oh, I don't have any internet. That's the fucking problem. But so I'm gonna buy Sherlock. I couldn't afford it today to buy the 4 seasons because each season was like $16. And I was like, no.
That's a lot of money.
But that's one that I really liked, and when I first started watching it, because it got me, and those clues. It's because if you don't know who Sherlock Holmes is, you clearly don't pay attention to society.
I don't even think it's that. Like, you haven't even heard of literature.
Yeah, you're giving the camera such like.
Because I see like there's this line over my face, and I think it's just part of the camera's focus thing.
I think
but every
it
time
is.
I do it, I just see a line straight through my face, and I'm like,
I thought you were like staring into their souls, like, how the fuck have you not heard
Yeah.
of Sherlock Holmes?
but for real, how the fuck have you not heard of Sherlock Holmes?
He's a detective character who was written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Yes,
I can never say his full name right.
Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Back in like the 1800s in England, I think it was 1800s.
Yeah, I think it's mid to late 1800s. I would say closer to late, but he's just he's Sherlock Holmes. He's the best detective. He was the world's greatest detective until Batman showed up.
Are you saying Batman is better than Sherlock?
Batman is labeled as the world's greatest detective. That's like his tagline.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Somebody needs to change that because no.
In the comics, he's the world's greatest detective.
Somebody needs to change that because no. I will die for Sherlock Holmes.
Really?
Yes.
Someone put a gun to your head and they're like, name all of the Sherlock Holmes stories.
I would die. Because I don't know them all.
Because you would die for Sherlock
Because
Holmes.
I would die for Sherlock Holmes. I have an original, not original, God, my mind is all over the place, but I have an old version that's like worth a lot of money of all of the Sherlock Holmes like stories.
You've shown that to me before.
Yes. And it's just sitting on my bed at my house, and it's probably getting dust and like dying.
And mold.
Yeah, I'm not taking care of it.
No.
But so his thing is what is his?
What is this thing? Do tell.
But he's the best detective, and when it was written, that's what I was looking for when it had to be sometimes in the 1800s, but that was during the rise of like an actual police force and like detectives, because before then they were like, oh, somebody died, oh no, and like,
oh dang,
man, that sucks. Like,
what's the jump lady bit?
Oh,
you
man.
tell him Mustache Jones sent ya, and shoots his name into the side of the building.
What is the There's a puddle of blood over there. Gross. Mop it up. There's a puddle of the victim's blood. That's what it is. But is the powers of deduction, not deduction. It's deducing, but it's a phrase, and I can't think of what the actual like phrase is. But that's what he's known for, is this uncanny ability to spot clues like on a person or in a crime scene that nobody else can really notice, because he has this like super intellect. And it's what helps him solve cases. And anyways, going back to the show, which was created during not the early 2000s, like the 14, 15, that
like
kind of era.
mid 2010s.
Is that what it's called? Do you say 2010s?
I say 2010s or 20tweens if I'm talking about the first couple years.
Gross.
Yeah, it's gross, but what the fuck else am I
But
supposed to
what
call
do you
it?
call that time? Because early 2000s is like 2000 to 2009. And so
Yeah.
I guess it's the 2010s.
Yeah, just the 2010s.
gross. But I like his stories because all of the clues are there, and you could find them yourself if you had this like higher intellect, or if you even thought about looking for those types of things. And he's able to solve this by, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, words are not working today.
He can solve it just by seeing those clues, and he can put the thing together himself.
But it's not obvious for us.
No, and I think what makes that work, I was going to mention it, is this show did a lot of expositional answering, where like you get a clue and you're like, there's this victim's hair is on the fucking edge of the desk.
Yeah.
And then later someone's like, oh, she banged her head against the head of the desk to try and kill herself because the bees were causing her immense pain. And it's stuff like that where you explain before you need to what happened or what's going on. That makes you lose interest, or at least for me, it's such a cop out, right? Don't ever be like, we found the victim's blood on the floor. He was probably shot. Like, duh.
No, yeah, that's obvious.
Yeah, like we don't need to be told what happened. We need to be told how it fits together.
But see, it's interesting. But in the case of like Sherlock Holmes, like a lot of the things that he says have to be explained. Like he'll pick something random. I think in the first one, it's A Study in Pink, which is a play off of the original Sherlock Holmes story, A Study in Scarlet, where like the woman is like the inside of the ring is all like nice and polished, and John Watson, not Holmes.
Yeah,
God,
John Watson.
John Watson is like, what does that like mean? What do you mean like the inside is polished? Because she must have taken it on and off all the time and like polished it with her finger. Like, but none of us would have ever gotten there had he had not explained it. So there are clues like that need to be explained.
That's the thing. It's a smart clue that needs to be explained, right? Something that's interesting, something that's out of the ordinary. I remember also in Sherlock, there's an episode where they think it's a suicide, and he's like, no, the bullet hole's in the right side of the head, but the butter on the bread knife is on the left side of the bread. And he's like,
the butter on the knife is on the left side of the bread.
Whatever. The butter knife is on the left side of the bread, meaning that she was left-handed, so no one reaches around to shoot themselves in the head. Smart clues like that, I think, are okay as long as you wait to tell them until it's necessary.
Well, that's the other thing is because there are clues like that where we get the exposition with it, but a lot of them we don't until the very end because he's a big like show off and he wants to show how smart he is.
And he's like connects the dots from the beginning to the end to how they got there.
Yeah.
And I think that I mean, it works, right? Like, because you see them.
But that's his thing. It's like he has a superior intellect and he is able to like to show off these skills. And so that's how it works because I mean, when it comes to those, none of us are thinking of like the inside of a ring or like looking around at like, oh, how did they prepare their toast this morning?
Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing I check when I go into someone's house. How are you preparing your toast, sir and madam?
What side of the bread is the butter?
What side of the butter bread is the knife on?
The other thing with Sherlock is I like that there's the killer or the antagonist isn't revealed until the end, because there are some mysteries where the bad guy, the killer, is along for the ride and like gets really close to the person trying to solve it because they're like, oh look, I'm your friend, don't suspect me because it wasn't me.
And then they're like, it was the butler the whole time, the butler that was serving us the crumpets.
But see, and that's something that I've always like disliked about mysteries, or as I've gotten older and gotten better at like snuffing out the like mystery tropes and who did what, who done it, is that they always show the character. Like, and it can be a complete side character. In one of my favorite episodes of Sherlock, the game, it's not the final game. There's two. There's the game, which I think is the last episode of the first season, and then there's the final game, which is the last episode of the fourth season. Both of those episodes are incredible. But they show who the person is, who the killer, what's the, I don't want to just keep saying killer.
The culprit. The culprit
is, they're like a side character. They're brought in for 2 lines. They're like the person at the coffee shop, and then they walk away. But when you're trying to solve a mystery, you have to think of in the aspect of who wrote this. They had to bring in the killer somehow, even if it is a minor character. So now I've even started to suspect minor characters who come in for 2 sentences. I want to see a mystery where they're not like in it at all. Like, you don't, like, that character is not introduced until the very, very, like, end of the movie. And, like, there's no, like, forthcoming or...
It's just some guy?
Yeah.
That's just the Zodiac killer.
Yeah.
It's just some guy.
But my idea that I've never fledged out is the the idea of a mystery, somebody trying to solve a case, the character itself is never introduced, but is in the background of all of the scenes.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's there.
He's
but
there.
We just don't
He's
see
around.
him.
The audience never gets who is that. Like, you don't even notice that person. They're just in the background of every shot, like ordering coffee or I got coffee on the mind. Just doing whatever. They're at the police station, but we don't know that it's them until the very end. And something else that I like about mysteries is after I've solved it, after the answer has been revealed to us, getting to rewatch it and see how all the clues were there from the beginning. That is my shit. When you have been feeding me clues the whole time that I didn't notice.
And then you're going to go back and
genius.
notice them?
You're a genius.
Genius.
I love that.
That is a smart tactic. I mean, I love the nesting of clues within the background of scenes.
And that's something that, like, you're talking about with your episode that they didn't do, which I think was it's a hindrance. That's like what hurt them. Like, they needed to be able to better integrate those clues into the background and not have to explain every single one of them.
Yeah, and I think they revealed the killer too early too. That you just see that he's some guy, and then I checked and there was still like 45 minutes left in the episode, and I was like, all right, well, where is he at?
Give
What's
me
he doing?
the answer in the last 5 minutes and then cut it off. That's it. That's all I need. I don't need any, oh, they live happily ever after now. Oh, they're like, they're doing great. No, here's the killer. He lock him up. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
The other thing, I am obsessed with Twilight Zone, the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Yep.
What do you mean, yeah? Why are you giving me that look, yeah?
No, it was like an agreement. Yeah.
But that show does it really well. Where, see, we've hindered a lot, or we talked a lot about mysteries in the aspect of crimes and killings and other crimes.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like,
there's so many mysteries out there.
And like supernatural mysteries. And they're like, what's fun about a mystery is that you don't necessarily have to explain what happened at the end. Like, if it's supernatural, you know?
Yeah.
Because you can just be like, aliens. And while that might be a cop-out, for some stories, it does fit and it does work if you're leading up to it.
So we were talking about the lead up to solving a mystery. The red herrings, whether the clues become too obvious, or there's also the other aspect of that, which I don't particularly mind. Other people mind, is if the clues are like completely hidden and like with like not given to you, the audience at all,
or at least not spoken.
Yeah,
right.
That's fine. And again, like if you come with a twist that's way out of left field, I'm good. Make it make sense, and it's fine with me. But that's the next thing that we should get into is the payoff has to be worth it. So there's a difference between saying, oh, it's aliens, and aliens being nowhere else in the movie, or you saying aliens having an explanation for it. You're like, yeah, that's believable. I think that could happen.
It's like the difference between like, if you go out and there's fucking, what is it, crop circles, and then you're like, oh, it was our cows eating crop circles. No one's going to be like, cool. But if you're like, there's crop circles, and then you're like, oh, it was aliens making crop, like, it's got to be believable to the story that you're telling. You can't just be like,
that's what it is. It has to be believable.
You can't just be like, oh, she got stabbed in the back by an alien.
See,
right?
It can't be weird for weirdness' sake.
Yeah, unless it's a comedy. I mean, I think that there's place for
unless
that
you're playing on the tropes.
Yeah, but I think that like it can't be out of left field for the sake of being out of left field. It has to be out of left field for the purpose of the story. And it's difficult to just say that without like examples.
Twilight Zone. I mean, how many, like, you've watched Twilight Zone. Have you seen all of the episodes?
I've seen many of the episodes. I've seen all of the black and white episodes. I know that for certain, but I don't think I've seen all of once they started like having colorized episodes.
I don't think they've ever had colorized episodes.
I'm pretty sure some of the late, maybe I'm thinking of the movie, because there was a Twilight Zone movie.
And I know that they've revamped the show and they're making
They did like a what was it, Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
Was running it, or was like the figurehead for it. I didn't watch but one of those episodes, and it was okay.
I did not watch any of those episodes because nothing will live up to pure Twilight Zone.
It was something about a comedian and a doll. Oh, see, I don't remember, and that shows how little it's stuck in the brain. But then again, I don't remember it. anything.
But those have twists. I'm going to throw this one out there because this is one that I recently got Chris Lee, our first guest who's been on the podcast, to watch it. And he now sends me Twilight Zone memes like all the time.
Oh, they're great.
And I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just so funny that like that's the one thing that like we've talked about many things, so that's the one thing he's like attached to, and he's like, Randy, Twilight Zone. Yeah.
That's her. That's her.
That's her.
If she's Twilight Zone, that's her.
That's her. When he sees me, he sees the narrator.
Hello, I am Rod Sterling.
But there's one episode where the whole thing is taking place in a futuristic like Earth, where Earth has like fallen out of its rotation and is getting closer and closer to the sun, and everybody's like dying. Everybody's fighting for resources, for water, for air conditioning, for electricity. And one of the girls is like painting all of like these like bright images, and the sun is getting closer, and everybody like hates her. The big twist at the end is that that's not true. She was in like a fever dream. The truth is that the Earth has fallen out of its axis and is getting further and further away from the sun.
Oh.
And so it's getting colder and colder and colder. And when she wakes up, she talks about, I had this like wonderful dream. It was so hot and it was so nice and everything. And the woman who's there with her is like, yeah, that's a good dream because they're going to freeze to death soon.
Instead of burning to death.
Yeah.
The one that sticks in my mind is when all of the power goes out and then everyone thinks that it's aliens, and they're trying to prove that everyone's not an alien, and then it turns out that like the power just went out, and then these other people or was it like there are people that are watching, they're like aliens, or like these humans are terrible.
That is literally like I'm fine spoiling that one as well, because I watched that episode in high school. Many of our friends watched that in high school as well, because that's a good example. It's not an example. It's a play on the idea of what's the dramatic irony, where the audience knows something that the characters don't, but in this case, that neither the audience nor the characters know what's going on.
Yeah.
And we used it in our English class about dramatic irony. But so in that one, the town, it's called The Monsters Are Due on Maple Street.
Yes.
And so the entire like the Maple Street neighborhood, the power goes out. Everybody starts thinking that because a little boy says that it was aliens. He read a comic book where the same exact thing happened, and it was aliens, and they came down and they were like going to kill everybody. And so now everybody's freaking out that there's aliens amongst them, and they're going to try and like hurt everybody else. It turns out it is aliens, but aliens aren't like trying to hurt anybody. They're literally doing like a social experiment, and like how long can humans go in the dark before going crazy?
And it was like 6 hours or something.
Yeah, it literally took them like a day for them to go completely crazy and start killing each other. Yeah. And so the aliens at the end, they're walking back in their spaceship, and they're like, and there are many maple streets everywhere amongst the earth, and we will go to every single one, and we'll like, I forget the thing that he repeats, and like they all do the same thing. They all do the same thing. They all do as he's walking into like his spaceship.
Mm-hmm. That
was really good. But you see in these things, like these are complete twists. These are nowhere in these episodes are there evidence that is what's going on. It's just what if this was the world that we lived in?
Yeah, and it's the Twilight Zone. It's a dimension between dimensions. It's the dimension where things don't make sense. It's a world where things don't quite line up, and it fits the vibe of the show, because the show is all about what if the world was different than it was? What if these magical things could happen, but then the explanation for them is not what you expected?
And even in that show, there are some episodes where they don't. They're not all supposed to be twists, but I love the one that has twists. But there are some that this is where we live. That's it.
That's it.
This is life.
See y'all next week.
Goodbye.
Here's Rod Sterling. A dimension of sight.
He's so good.
He's such a good narrator.
He is.
So good. I used to watch it when I was sick. There was nothing on, so I just turned on Sci-Fi, and it was Twilight Zone from like 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and that was all it was.
The other one that I really liked that everybody got. So we had a movie like night a couple of weeks ago where we watched the Twilight Zone, and what me and my brother did as kids when we first started watching it was we'd watch 2/3 of an episode, we'd pause it, we'd talk about theories of what the twist was going to be, and then we'd play it and see who was right. And we still play this game today. Anytime an episode comes on that neither of us have seen, we'll play. And so we did this, and one of my favorite episodes is Beauty is in the Eye of the Beholder. I purposefully didn't.
Oh, I think I've seen that one. I mean, I've heard the name before, and it sounds interesting. Is it the one where it's in the future and they can look like whatever they want?
No.
No, then I don't know.
So I'm gonna spoil this one as well. Sorry, guys. But these are pretty popular episodes. These are the ones that have like the biggest twists in them. But so this woman, the entire time, she has her face like shrouded. It's been wrapped up because she is in this society seen as completely like ugly, and like she has to have like 17 different surgeries to try and fix her so that she can be welcomed into society. And we don't see anybody else's face the entire episode. And when it's revealed her face, she is the most beautiful human in our like standards of our society. But she is ugly in their standard because they have different like features. So they have really big lips and they have really like upturned noses.
Oh,
and
I did see that one.
And they have like very like heavy eyebrows, like a Neanderthal like head, forehead, whatever it's called. But in their society, she is seen as like disgusting, and she has to be put into a camp full of other people like her.
Oh my god.
And so I love that episode because it flips the whole like beauty standard on its head. But everybody that we were watching it with guessed it, and I purposefully didn't tell them the title because the title really gives it away.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But they still guessed it. So there's some bangers and there's some knots, and that. Speaking of Twilight, the point of Twilight Zone was that the answers don't always like they can come out of left field and still like make sense. And
yeah, they don't have to. But it has to align with the themes of the story.
But it makes sense, like you said, in the context of the show. Like, because we're in this, like, fourth dimension that whack shit can't happen. Try to explain any of that in, like, a modern film. It's not gonna land
fit.
well.
Yeah, so it's all about, like, the setting your stories and your ability to pace your clues correctly and not make things too obvious. And it's so difficult for us to give you a way to do that without having written mysteries ourselves.
I'm in the process of trying to write a mystery.
I've never written a mystery in my life.
It's difficult, especially this was something that we talked about in the last episode with Passion Projects. I'm working on a horror short film right now. It's horror, but it's also mystery.
It's mystery. I would say it's more mystery than horror.
At this point, I want to make it more scary. And once I get, because the plot of it is very. I said it in last week's episode. I'm not going to try and give the plot again without giving away the ending because I don't want to. I've told so many people the ending already that I really want to try and keep it a secret right now. Go listen to that episode. Go listen to that log. Like I think it's in the first. No, because you spoke first. It's in the second half of it. Anyways, that's really difficult because I am in the process. I know I have written in my script the beginnings of each of the two timelines and the endings of each of the two timelines, and now the whole middle part is exactly what we're talking about, how to space out those clues and how to make them not obvious. So as soon as the audience sees it is like, oh yeah, that connects with that and that connects with that. And that's the story.
Yeah. And we were talking a lot when we were workshopping it together about like using red herrings correctly and making sure that the things were leading up to stuff that was, because a red herring can't just be like,
the red herring has to make sense in and of itself.
Yeah. So it can't be like, someone got stabbed in the back. The murderer is Joe Schmo the hobo, because he was the owner of the knife, right? But then the actual murderer was the policeman. The whole, I don't know, something like they have to be related. A better red herring would be, it was someone was stabbed in the back, and we think it's this mom. We think it's this mom the whole time because she was having an affair with the husband was having an affair with the mistress, and then you find out that it wasn't the mom, it was actually their daughter, right? Because the daughter found out and then accidentally killed, or like it was an accident and killed. It's just something like it's.
Did anybody else get that reference? Did anybody? Because somebody, Josh is over there. If you're paying attention, you had to have gotten that reference because I know exactly where you pulled that from. Do you know where you pulled that from?
No, I pulled it out of my ass.
No, you pulled that from somewhere. You pulled that from Legally Blonde.
Oh, I've never seen
You've never seen Legally Blonde?
No, how the hell am I supposed to pull that?
Oh my God. So the whole thing, like there's this case, Elle Woods is she's like this sorority girl, and her boyfriend leaves her to go to law school. She decides she wants to go to law school to get him back, and she becomes like one of the best lawyers of all time. But in the case that like skyrockets her career, it's about a husband being killed, and they think it's the mother, like the wife at the time, because she was like trying to get his money or something. And it's not her, it's the daughter. And like Elle Woods figures that out. And like you basically just sent the plot of that. And when you first started speaking it, I was like, oh, I'm going to bring up Legally Blonde when you're done. And then you kept going and you got there. Like it was the daughter. And I was like, that's Legally Blonde. Sorry.
That's how you know it's a good story, though. I came up with it and it exists already.
It does. And Like,
but that's the thing, right? Like that's such a good red herring because it's so close,
but it's
to
not. Yeah,
the thing, but it's not the thing. So you as the audience can be like, I figured out this thing, or we all know it's this gonna be this thing, and you're just waiting for them to get there, and then suddenly it's not that thing, but it's so close to what you thought.
And that's what makes it hard to write it, is because the clues, we're talking about embedding clues in the story so that they're there. I mean, that's something that I really want to do. I guess I don't necessarily have to do it, but to make the story make sense and to have that like really nice payoff at the end, the clues have to be explained by both theories until the very end, when it's like, oh, this is the piece of evidence that throws that other piece of evidence out the
window.
And that is so, man, I love mysteries. It's so difficult to write that, though.
Oh, man. Okay, let's move on to some recommendations.
At the beginning of this episode, I talked about bad media, or I said we could change this to bad media. There is a mystery movie that I saw recently that's called Rememory. Have you ever heard of it?
Is it the Hugh Jackman?
No.
Oh. What's the one with Hugh Jackman where he's like, the world is sinking and he has to find his wife? That's a new one.
Rememory. It's a movie starring Peter Dinklage.
4 out of 10 on IMDb. 6.1 out of 10. Okay, that's okay.
It's 25% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's really good.
Look, okay, all right, I'm gonna explain myself.
It's good. I mean, if you like mysteries and you're looking for something that's kind of like off the beaten path, it'll still get you, but you won't like it that it gets you. Rememory is good. It stars Peter Dinklage, and it's about this it's this era where memories are now you can now download your memories into like a SIM drive or into a hard drive, and you can rewatch them. It's meant to help, it's meant to be like a therapy tactic to help people with trauma, to relive those memories and make it easier to like go on with life. But then the main guy who made the thing gets killed, and then you have to go through Peter Dinklage is the main character, has to go through everybody else's memories and piece it together to try and figure out who killed the guy.
That's fun.
It's really good. It's also really bad, but I'm gonna recommend Rememory.
All right, I'm gonna recommend The Prestige by Christopher Nolan. It's a story of magicians in the world of like when Houdini was big, but it's sort of science fiction-y. Basically, this magician is looking for his newest trick and stumbles upon, he like goes to Tesla or something, and together they create a machine that allows him to do the most magnificent teleportation trick of all time. And the mystery is, how is his competitor doing this trick? And then why does this trick work? Because you never figure out exactly what the trick does until the end, and then you find out, and it's like, whoa, that's a bit much. The twist at the end, it's got a brilliant red herring up until the end, and then the twist blew me away when I first watched it. It's a great movie. It's got Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale playing the two counterparts to the protagonist and the deuterotagonist. And so, yeah, those. I mean, it's a fun movie. Twist is amazing. The clues along the way are all there the whole time. It's like exactly what we're talking about, where it's perfectly paced. There's like more than one twist at the end. There's a twist with one character, and then there's a twist with another character, and it blew me away. So it was so good, and I mean, just go watch it. Like, I don't want to give it away because it was good.
I have another one that it's promoted as a horror movie. It's called Goodnight Mommy, and it's a German film, but it has a big mystery element to it. So there's this mother who has twin children, and after getting some sort of surgery, she begins acting different, and the children throughout the film are trying to find out like what happened to their mom. I can't give you more than that because really it will spoil it, but that is also a great one, where the twist at the end is incredible. The pacing of it is really nice. The horror aspect, again, I also love horror, is there are some shots, the way that she like presents, she's a phenomenal actor, and I wish I knew her name, but the way that she like presents herself and walks around is so unnatural and so like unnerving. It's a beautiful performance. Yeah, that one also has there's one line. If you miss that one line,
You missed the entire thing.
you miss it.
Mhm.
You miss it. And I missed it. Like, I was watching it with Victoria, and the thing kept pausing and kept, like, it'd skip a couple of seconds. And the last time that it did it, I was like, this is terrible. Like, I'm going to miss something important. I was thinking in my head, I'm going to miss a clue, and I won't be able to solve it. And then at the end, it is revealed, and I was like, I needed that one sentence. It was literally in one sentence that I needed, and I could have gotten it.
I would have been so smart, but I can't be smart now.
But that one's good, too.
Thanks so much for joining us on this intellectual journey. We will catch you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Media for the Intellectually Impoverished is hosted by Trey Taylor Smith and Miranda Randy Zapes.
Produced by Cam Ritchie and edited by Kat Trapella.
You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at MFTII Podcast.
Subscribe to our YouTube at Media for the Intellectually Impoverished or email us at mftiipodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening.